Dr. Alice Warren stared at the strange symbols glowing on the artifact's surface. Her heart beat faster as she realized what this could mean. After 15 years of searching deep space for signs of alien life, she had finally found something real. "Are you seeing this, Peter?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The communication link crackled with static before Dr. Peter Martinez responded from the research lab aboard the Horizon. "I'm getting the data feeds now," he said. "But Alice, we need to be careful about jumping to conclusions. This could be another false alarm like the Europa signals." Alice shook her head inside her spacesuit, even though Peter couldn't see the gesture. The artifact floated before her, its dark metal surface covered in lines that pulsed with a soft blue light. It was roughly the size of a car, with an odd triangular shape that didn't match any human design. "This is different," she said. "The energy readings are off the charts, and it's clearly artificial. Someone made this, Peter. Someone not from Earth." The discovery had happened during a routine survey of an asteroid cluster at the edge of the solar system. The Horizon, Earth's most advanced research vessel, had detected unusual energy patterns coming from what they thought was just another space rock. Instead, they found this, whatever it was. Alice reached out with her instrument probe, carefully touching it to the artifact's surface. The moment contact was made, the blue lines grew brighter, and new patterns began to appear. "The surface temperature is rising," Peter reported, "but it's stable. No signs of radiation or other dangerous emissions. Whatever it's doing, it's not trying to hurt us." Alice moved closer, her trained eye following the patterns of symbols. They reminded her of writing, but unlike anything she had ever seen in her studies of ancient Earth languages. These symbols seemed to flow and change, almost like they were alive. "Starting recording sequence," she said, making sure every detail was being captured by her suit's cameras. "The patterns appear to be responding to our presence. This isn't just a dead artifact, it's active technology." Suddenly, the symbols pulsed brighter, and a beam of light shot out from the artifact. Alice instinctively moved back, but the beam didn't seem dangerous. Instead, it projected what looked like a three-dimensional star map in the space between her and the object. "Peter, are you getting this?" she asked, her voice filled with wonder. "Yes, and you're not going to believe this," he replied. "The star patterns match our galaxy, but, Alice, according to the computer, this map shows stellar positions from approximately 50,000 years ago." The implications hit her like a physical force. This wasn't just proof of alien life. This was proof of an ancient alien civilization that had visited our solar system before humans had even developed agriculture. The projection changed, showing new images. Alice watched as strange ships appeared, elegant and advanced, moving through space. Then the images turned darker, showing these same ships being destroyed by other vessels. Angular, aggressive shapes that seemed to consume everything in their path. "It's some kind of warning," Alice said, her excitement mixing with growing concern. "These aliens, whoever they were, they left this here to tell us something. Captain Rogers needs to see this," Peter said. "And we need to contact Earth immediately." But before Alice could respond, the artifact pulsed again, and a new hologram appeared. This time, it showed a humanoid figure. The being was tall and slender, with features that seemed almost human but not quite. Its skin had a slight bluish tint, and its eyes were larger than a human's, but it stood on two legs and had two arms. The figure began to speak. No sound came out in the vacuum of space, but symbols appeared below it, the same kinds of symbols that covered the artifact. "The computer is trying to analyze the symbols," Peter said. "It's detecting patterns similar to known language structures. Give it time, and we might be able to translate." The figure disappeared, and the artifact's glow dimmed slightly. But now, new symbols were appearing on its surface, different from the others. These were changing more rapidly, almost like, "It's learning," Alice whispered. "It's analyzing our language from our communications. Peter, this thing isn't just a message. It's alive. It's thinking. Over the next hour, the symbols changed and shifted, gradually forming into recognizable letters. Finally, a clear message appeared. Danger comes. The Void Seekers hunt. We are the Eternals. We failed. You must succeed. Alice felt a chill run down her spine, despite her suit's temperature controls. This wasn't just a scientific discovery anymore. It was a warning. Something was coming, something that had destroyed an advanced civilization 50,000 years ago. When she finally returned to the IS horizon, the ship was buzzing with activity. Captain Rogers had already sent the initial data back to Earth, and Mission Control was demanding constant updates. Scientists and military officials were sending questions faster than the crew could answer them. In the research lab, Alice and Peter studied the artifact's message and the recorded holograms. The computer systems were still processing the vast amount of data contained within the object. The engineering team says the artifact's power source is like nothing we've ever seen, Peter said, showing Alice the analysis. It's been operating continuously for 50,000 years, and it shows no signs of degrading. This technology is beyond anything we can currently achieve. But why leave it here? Alice wondered aloud. Why in our solar system? As if in response to her question, new symbols appeared on their monitor screen, translating themselves into English. You were chosen. Your species shows promise. You combine wisdom with strength. You must be prepared. Peter looked at Alice, his earlier skepticism replaced with worried acceptance. I guess that answers that question. But it raises so many more. Alice nodded, her mind already racing with possibilities. Whatever these void seekers are, they destroyed a civilization far more advanced than ours. The Eternals must have seen something in humanity, something they thought might succeed where they failed. But are we ready for this kind of responsibility? Peter asked. This knowledge, this warning. Before Alice could answer, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Captain Rogers' voice came over the intercom. All personnel to stations. We're detecting multiple objects approaching from the outer solar system. They're moving faster than anything we've ever recorded. Alice and Peter shared a look of understanding. The warning wasn't just about some distant future threat. The Void Seekers were already here, and humanity's first real test was about to begin. As they rushed to their stations, Alice's mind returned to the artifact's message. You must succeed. Whatever was coming, humanity would face it with both the wisdom of the Eternals and their own unique strength. They had to. The alternative was extinction. The IS Horizon's engines hummed to life as Captain Rogers ordered them back toward Earth. They needed to prepare, to warn everyone. But as they turned away from the asteroid field, Alice couldn't help but wonder if they would have enough time. The artifact, now secured in the ship's cargo hold, continued to glow with its mysterious blue light. And somewhere in the darkness of space, humanity's greatest challenge was approaching, ready to test whether they truly deserved the Eternals' faith in them. Commander Nathan Cole stood at the window of Earth's orbital defense station, watching as workers in spacesuits attached the final pieces of armor to his new ship. The vessel was beautiful, sleek and powerful, unlike anything humans had built before. Its hull gleamed with a strange bluish metal that Earth's scientists had learned to make by studying the eternal artifact. 3 months had passed since Dr. Warren's discovery, and everything had changed. The world's governments had united like never before, pooling their resources to prepare for what might be coming. And Nathan had been chosen to lead humanity's first real space defense fleet. Quite a sight, isn't it? A familiar voice said behind him. Nathan turned to see Dr. Alice Warren approaching, carrying a tablet filled with data about the artifact. The Rising Dawn, Nathan said, naming his new ship. First of her kind, but will she be ready in time? Alice's face grew serious. That's actually why I'm here. The artifact. It's doing something new. They walked together to the station's science lab, where the alien object floated in a secure chamber. Its blue lights were pulsing faster than usual, and new symbols crawled across its surface. Dr. Peter Martinez looked up from his monitoring station as they entered. Commander Cole, good timing. Watch this. Peter pressed a button, and a hologram appeared above the artifact. But this time, instead of showing star maps or alien ships, it created an image of Earth. They watched as red dots began appearing at different points around the planet. These appeared an hour ago, Alice explained. We think they're showing locations of other artifacts, buried deep underground or hidden in the oceans. The Eternals didn't just leave one morning. They left dozens. Nathan studied the map carefully. Can we reach them? Teams are already being sent to the closest locations, Peter said. But that's not all. The artifact's energy output has doubled in the last 24 hours. It's like it's waking up. As if to prove his point, the artifact suddenly pulsed brighter than ever before. The hologram changed, showing a series of numbers that quickly translated themselves into English. It's a countdown, Alice whispered. 48 hours until something. Nathan straightened his uniform. I want the Rising Dawn ready to launch in 24. If this is what we've been preparing for, we need to be ready. Over the next day, activity at the station reached fever pitch. More ships were completing their final tests. Crews were running drills, and scientists worked around the clock to understand the artifact's messages. Nathan spent hours in simulators, practicing with the new weapons and defense systems based on eternal technology. The ships handled differently from anything he'd trained on before. They were faster, more responsive, almost like they could read their pilots' thoughts. The neural interface is amazing, his second-in-command, Lieutenant Sarah Miller, said during one training run. It's like the ship becomes part of you. Just remember, Nathan replied, we still don't know if these improvements will be enough. The Eternals had better technology than this, and they still lost. As the countdown reached 12 hours, Alice called an emergency meeting. Her face was pale as she showed them the artifact's latest revelations. We've managed to access more of its memory banks, she explained to the room full of officers and scientists. The Void Seekers, they don't just attack randomly. They're drawn to civilizations that reach certain technological milestones. By studying the artifact, by building these ships, we've lit a beacon. So we've brought them here. Nathan asked, his voice tight with concern. They were coming anyway, Peter added. The artifact says they scan for potential rivals every few thousand years. We were going to face this test eventually. The Eternals just helped us prepare for it sooner rather than later. The countdown reached 6 hours, and the first reports started coming in from the other artifact sites. Each one they uncovered was different. Some contained weapon designs, others showed defense strategies, and a few held historical records of the Eternals' battles against the Void Seekers. Nathan was on the bridge of the Rising Dawn, running final systems checks, when Alice's voice came over the comm. Commander, you need to see this. Now. He rushed back to the lab, where a crowd had gathered around the artifact. Its entire surface was glowing bright blue, and in front of it stood a hologram more detailed than any they'd seen before. It showed one of the Eternals, but this time the image was solid enough to seem almost real. I am Zira, the hologram said in perfect English. I was one of the last Eternal scientists. If this message is activated, it means your civilization has advanced enough to face the coming trial. The hologram looked at each of them in turn, its large eyes seeming to study their reactions. We left you our knowledge, but knowledge alone is not enough. The Void Seekers destroyed us because we hesitated, because we thought we could reason with them. Do not make our mistake. What are they? Nathan asked. What exactly are we facing? The hologram waved its hand, and the air filled with images of massive ships, organic and mechanical at the same time. They are the great filters of the galaxy. They believe that only one spacefaring civilization should exist, themselves. All others are seen as threats to be eliminated. Alarms began blaring throughout the station. Lieutenant Miller's voice came over the intercom. Commander Cole to the bridge immediately. We're detecting multiple unknown objects entering the solar system. How long do we have? Nathan asked the hologram. Hours, perhaps, Zira replied. They will test your defenses first, probe for weaknesses. But remember, you have something we did not. You have our warnings, our technology, and most importantly, you have your own strength. The strength of a young species that still remembers how to fight. Nathan looked at Alice and Peter. Get everything you can from this interface. We need every advantage. As he turned to leave, the hologram spoke again. Commander Cole. The Void Seekers cannot be reasoned with, but they can be surprised. They have faced many civilizations, but none quite like yours. Use that. Nathan nodded and rushed to his ship. The Rising Dawn's engines hummed to life as his crew took their stations. On screens throughout the vessel, he could see other ships of Earth's new fleet moving into position. All stations report ready, Lieutenant Miller announced. Good, Nathan said, settling into his command chair. Because ready or not, humanity's first real space battle is about to begin. The neural interface connected him to his ship, and he could feel its power thrumming through his body. The Eternals had given them the tools to fight, but how they used them would be uniquely human. As the first alien ships appeared on their long-range scanners, Nathan thought about Zira's words. The Void Seekers had never faced anything quite like humanity before. It was time to show them why. All ships, battle formations, he ordered. Let's show these Void Seekers what happens when ancient wisdom meets young fury. The Rising Dawn moved forward, leading Earth's fleet into position. The countdown had reached 0, and humanity's greatest test was about to begin. The first attack came faster than anyone expected. The Void Seeker ships moved like dark shadows against the stars, their organic-looking hulls absorbing most of Earth's sensor scans. But Commander Nathan Cole was ready for them. Evasive pattern delta, he ordered as the first enemy shots streaked past the Rising Dawn. The new ship responded instantly to his thoughts through the neural interface, rolling away from danger while keeping its weapons locked on target. 3 enemy ships approaching from Sector 7. Lieutenant Miller reported from her station. They're using some kind of energy weapon we've never seen before. Nathan watched as one of the beams hit a smaller Earth ship, eating through its shields like they weren't even there. The crew barely had time to escape in pods before their vessel broke apart. Fall back to defensive position, Nathan commanded. We need to protect the station. Back in the science lab, Dr. Alice Warren and Dr. Peter Martinez worked frantically with the Eternal AI, Zira. The hologram's face showed concern as it watched the battle unfolding on their screens. Their weapons have evolved since our time, Zira said. But the principles remain the same. They seek to destroy your technology first, to push you back to a pre-space age level. How do we stop them? Alice asked, her fingers flying over the control panels. The artifact contains defensive protocols we never had time to implement, Zira explained. A stream of data began flowing across their screens. Your ship's shields can be modified to resist their energy weapons, but it will take time. Peter started working on the calculations, time we don't have. Unless. He looked at Alice, and they both had the same idea. Commander Cole, Alice called over the comm. We need you to buy us 15 minutes. Can you keep them busy without losing any more ships? On the bridge of the Rising Dawn, Nathan smiled grimly. We can do better than that. Lieutenant Miller, signal all ships. Time to show them what humans can do. Instead of falling back further, the Earth fleet suddenly split into 3 groups. The Void Seekers' formation faltered, clearly surprised by the aggressive move. They're used to fighting enemies who only defend, Nathan explained to his crew. Let's show them something new. The Rising Dawn led its group in a tight spiral around the nearest enemy vessel, launching continuous fire at varying frequencies. Most shots were absorbed, but a few got through, leaving black marks on the alien ship's hull. Their armor adapts to whatever hits it, Nathan observed, but it takes them a few seconds. Keep changing weapon frequencies. Don't give them time to adjust. In the lab, Alice and Peter worked with Zira to modify the shield frequencies of Earth's fleet. The Eternal Eye seemed impressed by how quickly they grasped the complex concepts. "Your species learns fast," Zira noted. "The Eternals took years to develop these modifications." "We don't have years," Alice said, not looking up from her work. "We have minutes." A cheer went up in the lab as they finished the calculations. "Commander, we're sending you the new shield frequencies now," Peter announced. "It should protect against their main weapons." Nathan felt the Rising Dawn's systems change as the new protocols took effect. The next hit from a Void Seeker weapon splashed harmlessly off their shields. "It's working," he reported. "Now it's our turn." The Earth fleet regrouped, their enhanced shields glowing with a soft blue light similar to the Eternal artifact. The Void Seekers launched another attack, but this time their energy weapons had no effect. "They're pulling back," Lieutenant Miller reported, regrouping at the edge of the solar system. The victory celebration was short-lived. In the science lab, Zira's hologram suddenly grew more intense. "They're not retreating. They're calling for reinforcements. This was only a scouting party." Alice studied the long-range sensor data. "She's right. We're picking up multiple large objects entering the solar system, much bigger than these ships." Nathan ordered the fleet to fall back to defensive positions around Earth and the orbital station. As they moved, he asked, "Zira, what else can you tell us about their tactics?" The hologram's expression was grim. "The Void Seekers follow a pattern. First, they test defenses with smaller ships. Then, when they know their enemy's capabilities, they send in their main fleet. They've done this countless times across the galaxy." "But has anyone ever survived their main attack?" Peter asked. "No," Zira admitted, "though few had the advantages we've given you. Still, technology alone will not save you. The Eternals had better ships, better weapons, better shields than what you have now. We still lost." "Why?" Alice asked. "What was missing?" "The will to strike first," Zira said. "We were an old species, set in our ways. We believed we could outlast them, wear them down. We were wrong. The Void Seekers don't get tired. They don't give up. They simply keep coming until their enemy is destroyed." Nathan thought about this as he watched the enemy reinforcements approach on his tactical display. "Then we won't fight like the Eternals fought. We'll fight like humans." He opened a channel to all Earth ships. "This is Commander Cole. We just proved that these Void Seekers aren't invincible. Yes, they're stronger than us. Yes, they have better technology. But they've never faced humans before. And we have something they don't expect. The wisdom of the Eternals combined with our own determination." The enemy fleet was getting closer, their massive ships now visible to the naked eye. They looked like giant dark stars, each one larger than anything humans had ever built. "Dr. Warren," Nathan called, "you and Peter keep working with Zira. Learn everything you can about their weaknesses. Lieutenant Miller, have all ships prepare for combat maneuvers we practiced. We're not just fighting for ourselves now. We're fighting for every species these Void Seekers have destroyed, including the Eternals." In the science lab, Zira watched the humans prepare for battle. The hologram's expression showed something new: hope. "Perhaps," the AI said quietly, "this is why we chose your species. You have our knowledge, but you're not bound by our limitations. You're young enough to still believe you can change the future." The massive Void Seeker ships entered weapons range, their dark hulls blocking out the stars. On the Rising Dawn's bridge, Nathan Cole gripped his command chair as the neural interface hummed with power. "All ships, battle positions," he ordered. "Let's show them what happens when you combine ancient wisdom with humanity's fighting spirit." The real battle for Earth was about to begin, and humanity was ready to prove that sometimes the student could surpass the teacher. The main Void Seeker fleet filled the space before Earth's defenders, their massive ships casting long shadows in the sunlight. Commander Nathan Cole had never seen anything so huge. Each enemy vessel was the size of a small city, making his fleet look tiny in comparison. "All ships report ready," Lieutenant Miller said from her station on the Rising Dawn's bridge. Her voice was steady, but Nathan could hear the tension in it. "Enemy fleet is launching smaller craft," another officer reported. "Hundreds of them, maybe thousands." Nathan took a deep breath and activated the neural interface with his ship. The Rising Dawn systems merged with his thoughts, showing him every detail of the battle to come. "Remember your training," he told his fleet. "Size isn't everything. We're more maneuverable, and thanks to the Eternals, our shields are stronger than they expect." In the science lab aboard the orbital station, Dr. Alice Warren and Dr. Peter Martinez worked with Zira's hologram to analyze the enemy fleet. The Eternal Eye's face showed growing concern as it studied the data. "Their ships have evolved far beyond what we faced," Zira said. "But their basic strategy remains the same: overwhelming force applied to a single point." "Then we don't give them a single point to attack," Alice said. She opened a channel to Nathan's ship. "Commander, we've spotted a weakness. The bigger ships are powerful, but they're slow to turn. They can't chase our smaller ships effectively." Nathan smiled. "Just what I was thinking. All ships break into attack groups. Remember the drills. Hit and run. Don't stay still. Keep them guessing." The battle began with a wave of energy weapons from the Void Seeker fleet. But Earth's ships were ready, their enhanced shields glowing as they absorbed the attacks. Then humanity struck back. The Rising Dawn led its group in a series of quick attacks, darting between the massive enemy ships and firing at their weak points. Other Earth vessels followed similar patterns, moving too fast for the huge alien ships to track effectively. "It's working," Lieutenant Miller reported. "We've damaged 3 of their big ships already." But the Void Seekers were learning. Their smaller craft began forming defensive screens around the larger vessels, making it harder for Earth's ships to get close. And when their weapons did hit, the enemy hulls seemed to repair themselves. "They're adapting," Nathan observed. "Time for Phase 2. All ships switched to formation beta." The Earth fleet regrouped and split into 2 main forces. While one group kept the enemy's attention, the other swung around behind their line. In the science lab, Alice noticed something strange in the sensor readings. The enemy ships, they're all connected somehow. They share energy, share information. That's how they adapt so quickly. Peter studied the data. But that connection could be a weakness. If we could disrupt it. Zira's hologram nodded. "Yes, this is different from our time. They've grown more powerful, but also more dependent on each other. A targeted electromagnetic pulse might." The station shook as a Void Seeker weapon got through the defenses. Alarms blared, and emergency teams rushed to contain the damage. "We need to act fast," Alice said. She contacted Nathan again. "Commander, we have a plan. But we'll need to modify the Rising Dawn's main weapon. It's risky. We've never tested anything like this." At this point, Nathan replied, watching as more enemy ships arrived. "We're running out of options. What do you need?" The next few minutes were intense as Alice and Peter transmitted the modifications. The Rising Dawn's weapon systems powered down briefly as the changes took effect. "The weapon is now tuned to their network frequency," Peter explained. "But you'll only get one shot. After that, they'll adapt." Nathan looked at his tactical display. The Void Seekers were pushing them back, step by step. Several Earth ships had been destroyed, and others were damaged. But the enemy's formation had a gap, a small one, but it might be enough. "All remaining ships on my mark," he ordered. "We're going to give them everything we have. Hit them from all sides. Force them to strengthen their network connection as they try to adapt." The Earth fleet launched its biggest attack yet. Ships darted in from every direction, firing all weapons. The Void Seekers responded exactly as planned, their ships linking more closely to share their defensive capabilities. "Network connection at maximum," Alice reported from the lab. "Now, Commander." The Rising Dawn charged straight toward the center of the enemy fleet. Void-seeker weapons fire filled space around them, but their shields held. Nathan felt the ship's modified main weapon charging through the neural interface. "For Earth," he said quietly. "For the Eternals. For everyone these monsters have destroyed." He fired. A pulse of energy unlike anything they'd seen before burst from the rising dawn. It spread through the enemy fleet like lightning through a metal web, following their network connections. For a moment, every Void-seeker ship glowed with the same energy. Then their systems began to fail. "Direct hit," Lieutenant Miller shouted. "Their network is collapsing. Ships are losing power." The massive alien vessels started drifting, their weapons silent. The smaller craft tried to maintain formation, but without support from the larger ships, they were vulnerable. "All ships, attack," Nathan ordered. "Take them while they're down." Earth's fleet struck hard, targeting the disabled enemy vessels. Several of the huge ships exploded, taking their smaller escorts with them. Others began retreating, their hulls scared and burning. But in the science lab, Zira's hologram suddenly became agitated. "Wait, something's wrong." The energy readings. Before she could finish, space itself seemed to tear open. A new ship appeared, bigger than any they'd seen before. Its hull was midnight black, absorbing all light that touched it. "Their command ship," Zira whispered. "We never managed to destroy one of these." The massive vessel's first shot destroyed 3 Earth ships instantly, even with their enhanced shields. Its second shot badly damaged the orbital station, sending it spinning off course. "All ships, fall back to Earth," Nathan ordered. "Defensive positions." As the Earth fleet retreated, he opened a channel to the science lab. "Please tell me you have another trick up your sleeve, because I think we just made them angry." Alice and Peter looked at each other, then at Zira's hologram. The Eternal Eye's expression was grim. "There might be one more thing we can try," Zira said. "But it's nothing we ever dared to attempt. It would require combining eternal technology with human innovation in a way that might be unstable." At this point, Nathan replied, watching the enormous command ship approach. "Unstable sounds better than dead." The final battle for Earth was about to begin, and humanity would need every bit of ancient wisdom and young fury they could muster to survive it. The Void-seeker command ship hung in space like a dark star, its massive form blocking out Earth's sun from the rising dawn's view. Commander Nathan Cole watched as it destroyed another Earth vessel with a single shot, its weapons far more powerful than anything they'd faced before. "Shields down to 40%, Lieutenant Miller reported, her hand steady on her controls despite the situation. "We can't take many more hits like that." In the damaged science lab of the orbital station, Dr. Alice Warren and Dr. Peter Martinez worked frantically with Zira's hologram. The Eternal Eye was showing them designs they'd never seen before. "This is why we chose your species," Zira explained as complex diagrams filled the air around them. "The Eternals were too cautious, too afraid of taking risks. But humans, you understand that sometimes the greatest risk is not taking one at all." Alice studied the plans carefully. "This would turn our shields into weapons, but the power requirements would burn out the ship's systems after one use," Peter finished. "It's suicide." "Not if we time it right," Alice said. She opened a channel to the rising dawn. "Commander, we have a plan, but it's going to take everything we've got." Literally. Nathan listened as they explained the idea. The eternal shields could be modified one last time, turned into energy collectors that would absorb the command ship's own weapon fire. Then that energy could be sent back in one massive burst. "The catch is," Peter added, "it'll fry every system on any ship that uses it. You'll have about 10 seconds after firing before total shutdown." Nathan looked at his tactical display. More Earth ships were falling to the command ship's weapons. They were running out of time and options. "Send me the modifications," he ordered. "Lieutenant Miller, signal all remaining ships. Anyone with working shields, form up on us." As the changes were made to their systems, Nathan addressed his fleet. "This is it. everyone. One final attack. We're going to show these Void Seekers that they made a mistake coming to our solar system. The remaining Earth ships gathered around the rising dawn. There were only 12 left, but each one's shields now glowed with a strange new energy as the modifications took effect. Commander, Zira's hologram appeared on the rising dawn's bridge. There's something else you should know. The command ship. We never saw one destroyed because they carry their species' collective knowledge. If you succeed, we'll be killing more than just a ship, Nathan finished. We'll be destroying their history, their memories. Yes, Zira said. The Eternals could never bring themselves to do it. That's why we lost. Nathan gripped his command chair tightly. They made their choice when they decided to destroy other civilizations. We're making ours by defending ourselves. The command ship launched another devastating attack. 3 more Earth vessels exploded, but their sacrifice wasn't in vain. The remaining ship's modified shields absorbed the energy, glowing brighter with each hit. Shield energy at maximum capacity. Lieutenant Miller reported. We can't hold anymore. All ships, attack formation, Nathan ordered. We've got one shot at this. Let's make it count. The Earth fleet moved as one, charging straight at the massive enemy vessel. The command ship fired again and again, but each shot only made their shields glow brighter. In the science lab, Alice and Peter watched the power readings climb to dangerous levels. The shields are going to overload, Peter warned. That's the idea, Alice replied. Commander, you have to get closer. Point-blank range. The energy has to feed back into their systems directly. The rising dawn led the fleet through a storm of weapons fire. Several more ships fell, but the survivors pressed on, their shields now blazing like small suns. In position, Nathan announced as they came alongside the command ship. Its black hull loomed over them, making the Earth ships look tiny in comparison. All ships, on my mark. The command ship seemed to realize something was wrong. It tried to pull away, but it was too late. Now, Nathan ordered. Every surviving Earth ship fired at once. Their shields released all their stored energy in a massive surge that struck the command ship's hull. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then light began pouring from cracks in the massive vessel's armor. Its own energy was being turned back on itself, feeding back through its systems in an endless loop. Clear the area, Nathan shouted. All ships, emergency thrusters. The Earth fleet scattered as the command ship started breaking apart. Explosions chained along its length, each one bigger than the last. Primary systems failing. Lieutenant Miller reported as the rising dawn's engines began shutting down. Secondary power gone. Life support running on emergency backup. Through the bridge windows, Nathan watched as the command ship finally exploded. The blast was like a new sun being born, forcing everyone to shield their eyes. When the light faded, the command ship was gone. And so were the remaining Void Seeker vessels, fleeing faster than any human ship could follow. They're running, Peter announced from the station. Long-range sensors show them jumping out of the solar system. Did we win? Lieutenant Miller asked softly. We surprised them, Nathan replied. Showed them something they'd never seen before. But they'll be back, eventually. With new tactics, new defenses. And we'll be ready. Alice's voice came over the comm. Because we'll keep learning, keep improving. The Eternals gave us their wisdom, but it was human innovation that won today. As rescue ships approached to help the damaged fleet, Zira's hologram appeared one last time. You've done something we never could, the AI said. You faced the darkness and pushed back. The Eternals chose well when we selected humanity as our successors. Nathan looked out at Earth, beautiful and blue in the distance. We'll keep your memory alive, he promised, and we'll be ready if they return. Of that I have no doubt, Zira replied. You have proven that the combination of ancient wisdom and young fury is more powerful than either alone. In the days that followed, Earth began rebuilding its fleet. The eternal artifacts continued revealing their secrets, and humans continued adding their own innovations to the ancient designs. Watching it all, Nathan knew that humanity had changed forever. They were no longer just one planet's children. They were the inheritors of an ancient legacy, and the defenders of all those who might face the Void Seekers in the future. The stars waited, full of both danger and promise, and humanity, armed with the wisdom of ages and their own unshakable determination, was ready to face whatever came next. When ancient wisdom meets young fury, Nathan said quietly to himself as he watched the first new ships being built, the impossible becomes possible. And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, the remaining Void Seekers learned a lesson they had never expected. Sometimes, the student could surpass the teacher, and sometimes, the youngest species could be the strongest of all.